Hey everybody, it is I, your friend Argent here. So I'm doing this because, well, I was going to do a stream the other day and it didn't work out. It's a weeknight, so it's normally a good time. And a friend of mine is kind of having a rough time and he wanted to do a stream, um, so I don't know, I guess he had something to laugh at. My attempts to bumble through doing a live stream or something to that effect. I don't know. It is what it is. So I wanted to, and I'll just wait a minute for some people to join. I wanted to kind of have a discussion about. Actually, just before, let me just. And there we go. Sorry about that. I was just re uploading something. Specifically, I was. Sorry, not re uploading something. Just I sometimes forget to turn my VPN off before I start streaming. And that's normally just not a good thing to leave on. So, yeah, I was just flipping that off. Now, what was I thinking of? Right, so just give it a minute and then we'll start. Okay, let me just setting up the stream. Yeah, so I wanted to do I was thinking maybe doing a video, but there's kind of too much to cover to just do a straight on video on why I think the show has kind of failed. Specifically, why it started to fail after season 5. So I kind of view season 5 as being the point in which, I don't know, everything started to kind of fall apart, where the errors and logic really started going. I think the show was pretty rock solid for the first for the first 4 seasons. Definitely the first 4 were really good. I think it's season 5 where if you look at a list of the worst episodes, all of them are in season 5. If someone could maybe correct me in the chat or something, I think there is. I think that's where Dorne happened. I think that's where Sand Snakes happened. I think that's where just pretty much everything that made the series worse happened in season 5. Oh yeah, Sansa rape scene happened in season 5. So yeah, season 5 is pretty much considered to be the worst season by everybody. So I just start off with that. By now, everybody. Sorry, so why do I think it went so wrong? What was the problem with the show? Well, there's a guy on YouTube called The Dragon Demands, and I don't have the agency to put a link to his channel in my chat. But yeah, there's a guy who does The Dragon Demands, called The Dragon Demands, and basically he said what happened with Benny Offenweiss and is Benny Offenweiss don't really know how to write. Basically, how their writing goes. So, just while we're talking, I'm going to be playing a Clash of Kings as Robb Stark. So, I think that'll be an interesting scenario. Benny Offenweiss don't really know how to write. What they like is they like the actors. They don't really like the story or the characters. So they fall in love with actors and they write the story based on what they want the actors to do. So with regards to the whole Talissa thing, her mate, because she looked like she was going to be a Lannister honeypot, then she wasn't a Lannister honeypot, then they removed Jane Westerling. The reason that Talissa happened was they really like Richard Madden. Is it Richard Madden? Richard Madden? Richard Madden, the actor. So because they like him, the actor, they wanted to watch him in a romance story. So because they wanted to do a romance story, they just wrote that in. Stannis' death scene, they also just wrote in because they like Stephen Delane and they wanted to have a death scene. So let's see here. So we'll talk about Stannis more in a minute. So let's see. So Robb Stark. So I am betrothed to Rosalind Frey. So I have a couple different options. I can marry Rosalind. I can marry Jane Westerling. Or I can try to marry another person. Now, what I'm going to do is, let me see, is Joffrey engaged to Marjorie? Yes, he's engaged to Marjorie. So if I stay with this, I'll get to keep the phrase, but there could be better options. The Freys do have a very large army levy. Let me see here. I could take the easy option. Let's see here. That's funny. I can marry the Blackfish to Asha. Okay, I'm going to do that. That's funny. Okay, I'm just going to marry Rosalind Frey. That's probably the easiest way to get through this. So, as Robb Stark can beat the Lannisters, it's just difficult. So I'm immediately going to disband my levies. Because I can re-raise them with more. I can re-raise them in a minute. So I'm going to pick hunting. Just so I can boost my health. Let's see here. Who can I betroth Brandon Stark to? I can betroth him to... Let's see here. Problem is Brandon's kind of young, so a lot of the eligible women are too old to marry him. I could betroth him to Mira. Yeah, I'll betroth him to Mira. Mira won't be that old by the time he comes of age. Jon Snow joined the Night Watch. Sansa's away. Let's see, I'll betroth Rickon to somebody. Who can we betroth Rickon to? I guess I'll just hold off on her. Okay, so we'll re-raise my levies. Just give me a second. They should be going up. So I'm going to say yes. Okay, so here we go. We have a bunch of shit that just fired. Let's see here. So the Ironborn just stabbed me in the back because the Ironborn are bad backstabbing cocksuckers. And it's what they always do. So I'm going to raise all my levies. I'll march most of them south. I have to leave a couple thousand men in the north just for when the Ironborn show up. I should be able to make do with the Lannisters with about 30,000 men for the moment. Let's see here. Jaime Lannister. Okay, so we'll just march south. So while this is happening, while I'm waiting for the rest of my levies to arrive, I gotta go and try and win some easy victories. Fortunately, I'm blessed with having some very good commanders, the North is. So anyways, back to Stephen Delane. So Stephen Delane was being interviewed about the role of Stannis in Season 5 and 6. Was it Season 5 where Stannis died or Season 6? Someone can... Oh yeah, the event fired where Bran died, maybe? I don't know. Let me see here. I can... pick my heir. Do I want Jon Snow to be my heir? I'm going to ask Jon Snow if he will be my heir. Okay, so I made Jon Snow the heir to the North, the Kingdom of the North. Yeah, so Stephen Delane was being interviewed about Stannis, and he said, I have no idea why my character did any of this. Betty Offenwise didn't tell me what was going on. They didn't tell me why my character was doing any of this stuff. He's like, I don't know why my character rode south. I don't know why my character decided to burn his daughter alive. None of this was explained to me. Oh, John refused to join me. That sucks. So here we go. I'm winning a couple easy victories against the Lannisters until the bulk of my forces arrive. Okay, there we go. That's why I left all these men in the north. Because the Greyjoys are backstabbing cocksuckers. So, just get them together. Yeah, so Stephen Delane's like, yeah, I don't know why Stannis, I don't know why I burned my daughter. Like, none of it really makes any sense. And more and more in interviews, what kind of came out is actors were like, I don't know why my character did any of this stuff. I don't know why. Here's what I think that they were going for. It's like, well, I think maybe what they were thinking of was this, or what I was going through my mind as I was doing it was that, and that's really not a good thing to have happen. Because if you're an actor, acting is very much, to a larger extent than I think some people realize, is a very technical skill. Like, there's certain things you have to do to be an actor. You have to be able to get inside your character's head. You have to act. You're portraying a... let's see here. The guy who played Barristan had a similar experience. He wrote a letter to Dan and Dave. They laughed at the letter and wrote in a pathetic death to get back at the actor. Yeah, because Barristan Selzmead's death was lame. Also, the actor who played Jaqen H'ghar... so Jaqen H'ghar, when he says to Arya, "Now you are no one," the actor who plays him was like, I have no idea why he said that. I wasn't told. And it's like, well, they can't work under these conditions. Like, you have to know why your character's doing something. If you don't know why your character's doing something, you just can't act. You can't work under those conditions. And that was, as I said, even the people who wouldn't admit to it, in interviews and stuff, it's pretty obvious that they just have no idea what's going on. So I think rightly so, and I agree with this, the single worst thing that ever happened to the show was the whole Dorne plot. So King Joffrey had Sansa executed. Oh, fuck that. It's on. It's on, bitch. It's on like Donkey Kong. You're going to execute him? Well, I'm going to execute... Ooh, a Tyrell. I'm going to execute Jaime. Where is Jaime? There we go. Where is execute? He will be beheaded. Our way is the old way. There we go. I beheaded Jaime Lannister. Hey, they killed Sansa. You know what I say? Death to those who are mean to QTs. It's just, I don't make the rules, I just enforce them. So it looks like I'm doing pretty good. I've won some pretty decent victories. I'm still fighting... so Balon Greyjoy died, so now Victarion is the head of House Greyjoy. So let's see here. What's her name again? Let me look up what the actress was who was playing Alara Dorne. Or Alara Sand. Okay, Indira Varma. So Benny Offenweiss had a hard-on for Indira Varma. Like, they saw her in Rome and they had this sexual fascination with her. So they decided to... Wait a minute, what happened to the Westerlands? Oh, Tywin died. Interesting, and Tyrion took them out of the war. Okay, well that's good. That means I've pretty much won at this point in time. I just need to finish these guys off and kick out the Ironborn. See, that's kind of the good thing and the bad thing about CK2. Indira Varma was amazing in Rome. Yeah, so they liked her in Rome and they kind of had a thing for her. So they're like, well, we're going to write an entire plot of the show just so we can use her more. Let's see, what's Loras Tyrell? I don't want to... let me see. Yeah, I can probably duel Loras Tyrell. Oh, shit. Game over. Wow. I should not have dueled Loras Tyrell. But that's how quick the game can end in CK2. I guess I didn't have an heir anymore. I don't have Agents of Mayhem, so I can't really do a live stream of it. If someone wants to donate me the game Agents of Mayhem, I'll play it on stream. There you go. That's my sleazy DSP impression. So yeah, so like we want to see Indira Varma. Yeah, they're like, we want to see Indira Varma, like, because we like her, so we want to see her in, what's it called again? In like the Alhambra. We want to see her in these palaces. So we're gonna, like, at the last minute, put this whole plot in there. Yeah, so they put this entire plot in there solely for the purpose of using an actress that they had the hots for, which is a really bad sign. It's a really bad way to make to put decisions on. But they did that, and that's why it was a disaster. So they put it in at the last minute. There was no writing on it. There was really no decisions that had been made. Dualoris, he's like the best fighter in the timeline. Well, I had to try, so. Let's see here. Who should I try playing as next? I could try playing as Stannis, Mind by Rights Baratheon. I could try playing as Robb Stark again. Maybe I'll try playing as Robb Stark again. And not being stupid. Yeah, I don't know why Bran and Rickon died, given that the Ironborn never took Winterfell. I guess Theon did that anyways. Theon's just a traitor. I wonder if I can execute Theon or imprison him. Oh no, right, he went back to the Ironborn. So I'm gonna get rid of my levies. So that an event will fire. And we'll re-raise our armies. And once again, pretty much every levy south of Winterfell will march south to join up with the main army at River Run. So what was I thinking of again? Yeah, so they put in the whole Indira Varma thing. I think that they just didn't like Stannis because they didn't really understand Stannis. Like when they were asked about I completely lost my train of thought there. Wait a minute, someone's defecting? Oh, cool. Stannis, they said Stannis is someone who's very ambitious. Like, the reason he did all the stuff he did was because Stannis was super ambitious, and that's why he wanted to be king. And I think that shows that they don't have the... yeah, I need to redo Stannis. I just haven't, remade it yet. That was not when I actually had thought I had taken it down. I guess that one was still up. Let me just take that down, because I've been meaning to take it down. I just forgot to do so. But what was I thinking of again? Right, so Stannis. So yeah, so they said Stannis was someone who was very ambitious. And Stannis isn't ambitious at all. Like, I don't think he even really wants to be king. I think the only reason that Stannis is trying to be king is because he believes it's his duty. I think he even says to Davos at one point that he really doesn't want to be king. It's just he feels it's his responsibility to do so. He is the legal king of the Seven Kingdoms, and he has to do it, whether he wants to or not. And I think he really doesn't want to be it at all. Actually, do we even... Yeah, I guess we know Melisandre's background. Although, who knows if it's actually true at all? Let's see here. There's a huge Crownlander army. Holy shit, they've raised a lot of guys. Why aren't they heading south? I ordered you to move south. But yeah, so I don't think they understood Stannis' character. I also think that they didn't expect the fans to take to Stannis as much as they did. Like, Stannis pretty much overnight became a fan favorite. And I think people were really just not expecting that. And the fact that he became a fan favorite, and the fact that I think they really hated him, and they really hated everything that Stannis stood for. Because Stannis was kind of like one of the last, like, really manly men. Kind of like alpha as fuck men. Like, the fact that Book Stannis is like, what is he, 6'3", and he gets to have sex with Melisandre, who's like 6'1", and like, he is super alpha. He is truly the manus. So I think they really didn't like that about him, because the people who make the show are kind of dildos. So I think they disliked that aspect of Stannis. I think it really made them angry once they figured out that, yeah, like I said, that just how much people liked him. And they gave him a really shit tier death in order to do it. Now, with regards to Varys, we don't really know if he's a peasant per se or not. Because there is a major fan theory that I actually buy into, that Varys is actually a matrilineal line Blackfyre. Sir Gregor was captured. Cool. That's good. He's actually one of their better generals. Okay, I captured a couple of their commanders. That's excellent. Yeah. So, a couple important things. So, for those of you who don't know about the Blackfyres, so the Blackfyres are a cadet branch of the Targaryens. Basically, the story went that Daemon Blackfyre was a legitimized bastard of Aegon the Unworthy. See, Aegon the Unworthy had a number of great bastards who were bastards born to great lords, born of his affairs with great lords and great ladies. And because of that, on his deathbed, he legitimized... okay, so Joffrey has died. Now Tommen is in charge. Wait a minute. If Tommen's in charge... Okay, I know what I have to do. Okay, let me see here. Let me just give myself some cash. I know what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to divorce Rosalind. And let's see, where's Marjorie? Marjorie Tyrell. Oh, because Mace is at war with me. Damn it. Yeah, so he gave the sword Blackfyre to the his oldest son, who was Daemon Blackfyre. Now, Daemon Blackfyre was his oldest son. He was Targaryen on both sides of his family. However, he was... I'm trying to think of how to describe it. Losing my train of thought. Okay, let me just close my eyes and try to put this out without being distracted by the game. Okay, so Aegon the Unworthy had like dozens, if not hundreds, of bastards because he literally fucked everything that moved. So his oldest son was named Daemon Blackfyre, who was a result of an affair he had with one of his Targaryen relatives. So he gave Daemon the Valyrian Steelblade Blackfyre, which is the traditional symbol of Targaryen kingship. Aside from that, he also, on his deathbed, legitimized his grand bastards. So we aren't really sure where legitimized bastards fall in the order of inheritance, because Daemon was technically his oldest son, and he had given the sword to him, basically indicating him as his heir, but his oldest legitimate son was the one who ascended the throne. So Daemon led a bunch of minor houses in revolt against the king and tried to become king because he believed that his claim was better. So he had a series of Blackfyre wars. So what happened is they lost and got kicked out and went to Essos. And the former Blackfyre supporters got a bunch of other exiles from Westeros together and formed the Golden Company. So the Golden Company is interesting because it still has knights, like Westerosi-style knights and squires, and presumably also has septums and is Faith of the Seven. So there's about 10,000 men in the Golden Company. So the men in the Golden Company, unlike the rest of the sellswords, are fairly honorable, and they're noted for never having broke a contract. The motto of theirs is, "Our word is as good as gold," and they demand an extremely high asking price, the higher the Golden Company, but at the same time the Golden Company is completely and utterly loyal to whoever pays them. So the Golden Company basically served as the vehicle for the Blackfyres to continually try to gain power. The last heir to the Blackfyre male line, and George R.R. Martin is very clear in saying male line, was Meleys the Monstrous, or Meleys? I'm not sure how you pronounce it exactly. But Meleys the Monstrous was born with 2 heads, and during the War of the Ninepenny Kings, him and his army attempted to invade Westeros, and they got their asses kicked by fighting them out on the Stepstones, and Sir Barristan Selmy killed Meleys the Monstrous in single combat. And after Meleys the Monstrous died, the Blackfyre line was extinct on the father side, the patrilineal side. Now, Illyrio Mapetis, I think is his name. I'm not sure. Ooh, Sir Bronn. I captured Bronn. That's cool. Now, Illyrio talks about having married a former slave girl who he describes as having very Targaryen features. And he talks about how much he loves her and how she was basically everything to him. And it's generally believed, because George R. R. Martin doesn't really put things in for accident. He's very deliberate with what information he gives. Like the fact that he refers to specifically the male line of the Blackfyres as going extinct pretty much indicates that there's a female line somewhere. And we believe it's commonly believed that the female line of the Blackfyres survived, and that Illyrio... Okay, I'm dead. I've lost this battle. That Illyrio had a child with the last Blackfyre female, and when they had that their child is Aegon the Sixth Targaryen. Now, they pretend that Aegon the Sixth is actually Rhaegar's son who was switched at birth. Yeah, I know it's all very complicated. But basically it's a roundabout way of saying that we think Varys is either the brother of Illyrio's wife or another surviving member of the Blackfyre dynasty. Now, there's a couple reasons for this. First, Varys shaves his head, so we have no idea what his actual hair color is. If this theory was true, his hair color would be Targaryen white. His eye color has also never been described, so it very easily could be Targaryen purple. So these things are all possible, if not plausible. So we have that aspect to it. We also have, with regards to Illyrio, you know how I'm going to try and play? I'm going to try and play as the Mad King. I'm going to try and play as Aerys the First Targaryen. Sorry, Aerys the Second Targaryen. So the other thing is the person who purchased him so he could use his penis for a magical ritual paid an absurd amount of money for him. Now, the most powerful blood in this series, magic requires blood to work. And the most powerful known source of blood is that of a king. So, a lot of people believe that the reason why he was given so much, they paid so much for him, was Varys has the blood of a king because he's a Blackfyre. So they took his penis, etc. So that was how Varys was able to meet Illyrio, and they rose together through the ranks. So that is kind of the whole Blackfyre conspiracy theory, that Varys' long game is to try to. Why do you play with the Mad King? I don't know. Is there somebody else wants me to play as? People are welcome to suggest something. Play with Osgrays. Who are the Osgrays? I have no idea who that is. Dorne. Play as Dorne? During which scenario? Oh, the Osgrays are in Dunk and Egg. Yeah, but there's really no major war that happens during Dunk and Egg. I don't think any real political turmoil or like anything happens during Dunk and Egg. Just that would make it an interesting scenario to play in. So yeah. The Clash of Kings. Okay, I'll reload Clash of Kings and we'll play as somebody else. Robb Stark, it's really hard to play as him. I mean, they've made it harder. It used to be doable, but since the Tyrells and Lannisters start out allied, it's very difficult to win. It also depends how well Stannis does. If Stannis can take King's Landing, then you can win. Otherwise, it's very difficult. There also used to be an event where the Vale has an option to join. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll try playing as the Vale. That would be interesting. I'll see if I could join Robb Stark's side in the Clash of Kings scenario. So, in the show, I have no idea what they're doing with Varys' plotline. Does he have a plotline? Is anything going to happen? I don't really know. The Danes, creator of the super waifu Ashara Dane. Oh yeah, so that is... Okay, this was actually something else I wanted to talk about. Some of my favorite theories that I don't think are true, but I really like. One of my favorite theories is that... I don't know if anybody's heard this, but there's a theory that Jon Snow is actually Ned Stark's son. That Ned Stark and Ashara Dane had a secret romance and were married, and Jon Snow is the legitimate son of Ned Stark. Some people also think that Ashara Dane is still alive. I forget her name. I'm sure someone in the chat can tell me. But there's this weird septa who's traveling with Tyrion and Aegon, and some fans theorize that she's Ashara Dane. And under that theory, Aegon the Sixth would be the child of Lyanna and Rhaegar. Now, do I think this is true? Probably not, but I find it really interesting because it would be an inversion of expectations. And inversion of expectations I tend to enjoy. Jon Snow is the product of Ned Stark and Lyanna Stark. Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's possible. Let's see, is an event going to fire that is going to allow me to... join a war? Because I want to join the war on the side. Let me see if I can declare for Robb Stark. Okay, cool. Declare war and civil war. So I am going to join with Robb Stark in the War of Five Kings. Now, the problem is the Arryns really don't have much in the way of levies, which is kind of regrettable, but it is what it is. I can take the Fingers at least. I can take Littlefinger's really shitty holdings. So I have 10,000 men that I can march to help them out. So, like I said, it is kind of a cracky theory, but I like it. So that's kind of one of the theories that I really like, but I don't think it's true. A theory that probably my favorite theory is that Essos and Westeros are actually one continent, because we have no idea how far. We have no idea how far the north goes. So some people think that there is a ice cap up here, and because we have no idea what the the east coast of Essos is like, and that they're connected together, and that they're one continent. So yeah, we have no idea what the east of Essos is. So some people had said that because the one person told Danny you have to go east to go west, that Danny was going to go all the way east and then cross over through here and save the day. So is that going to happen? Probably not, but I do like it. I think it's an interesting theory. Um, and I like interesting theories. Let's see here. Thoughts on Bethesda releasing a Game of Thrones VG after Starfield? I don't even know what Starfield is. I think Bethesda will fuck it up. I've been pretty vocal in the past that I really don't like Bethesda. I don't like the Elder Scrolls games. I've never liked the Elder Scrolls games. I think they're absolutely awful, to be perfectly honest. I've never played Morrowind. That was kind of before my time and before I was kind of into that style of thing. But no, I really didn't like the Elder Scrolls games. Um, Oblivion is one of just the most boring games I've ever played. It's just sandbox. You just have to run away. Like, you just have to run for really long periods of time to get anywhere. I don't know. I just find it super boring. Wow. Pretty much all the Lords of the Vale have refused to join me. So, that's super bad. Where the hell is the Stark army? I guess the Stark army is over here. Yeah. So I'll go join with them and help them beat the Lannisters. So yeah, all the Lords of the Vale have refused to join me. Wow. So that was kind of a disaster. But yeah, no, I don't like Oblivion. I think my other issue is having played like a game with good hack and slash, like having played the Souls series. The Soul series just has such better gameplay. Like literally all the gameplay is in an Elder Scrolls game is swing your sword, just tap the, click your button, just keep clicking the button. Fuck me. Ugh. Rob, you were supposed to help me out there. Fuck. So I've basically contributed absolutely nothing to this war. So I'm just gonna reload, cause yeah. But no, I thought Oblivion was trash. It was boring. The animation in it was god awful. One of my many issues with the Elder Scrolls games is you just have these massive worlds, but there's like nothing in them, and there's not really a lot to do. It's just kind of sandboxy. With bad combat, which is not a good combination. But yeah. Play as Littlefinger. Yeah, but Littlefinger doesn't really get to do much. Actually, let me think here. I could play Littlefinger in the Crown Stag scenario and see how high I can rise. That's not a bad idea, actually. I'll try playing as Littlefinger. Do you think leftist politics has had a negative influence in the show? I think to a certain point. I think a lot of it is just stupid shit. I think a lot of it was just bad decisions, but that's just me. I definitely think Benioff and Weiss, like they said that part of the reason they put Dorne in was because they liked the hedonism and they liked just kind of all that stuff. And because of those things, they decided that they wanted to put it in just so they can have some more other stuff. I'm no man. I don't know what that means. Is that a reference to... What's that called? To the... To the Faceless Men? D&D. Actually, I'm going to start a D&D game hopefully soon. Some friends of mine are... Probably with some friends of mine on Facebook. We're probably going to do... I like to DM, so we're going to probably have a... I'm going to probably DM, and it's going to be probably a campaign based on Castlevania. Because I've always wanted to do a campaign based on Castlevania. Let's see here. Swear fealty. Alright, I will swear fealty to Robb Stark the Young Wolf. Your offer is tempting, but I must decline your offer to become my vassal? What the fuck? Why would they decline that? Okay. So I'm going to side with Robb Stark again. I still have no levies whatsoever, which is weird because you think the Vale would have some. I know the Vale is not like particularly well populated, but you'd think you'd have more than like 10,000. That's less than Dorne has. I guess just your lords refuse to participate or something like that. So, I don't know. So a bunch of my vassals and their levies will just not join the war. Take a loan to hire mercs. Yeah. Well, I cheated to give myself money, which I normally do when I play this game. Let's see. Try to employ the Golden Company. I think that's a good idea. So I'm going to move south to help out the Young Wolf. Yeah, the Vale is what probably the Vale and the Stormlands, I'd say, are probably the least developed of the Seven Kingdoms. I'd say probably my favorite one of the great houses is either Lannister or Baratheon. I do really like the House Baratheon, just because of the words, ours is the Fury. And I really like Stannis. I like Renly too. I know Renly is a degenerate, but I don't know. I don't think he would have been a horrible war to be. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so I have the Golden Company now. Where is the Golden Company? Do I have to manually raise them? Okay, yes. There we go. Okay, so I'll bring the Golden Company south to help out. Where the hell did the Stark army go? The Starks are going to fucking abandon me down here to the main Royalist army? Wait a minute, the Lannisters left? Did Tywin die? Okay, so Tywin dies. The Lannisters have left the Civil War. Will the bastard be able to rebuild the Baratheon house? I think that's an interesting question, whether or not in the books Edric Storm or in the show Gendry will be able to. That's another theory that I really like, but I don't think is probably true, is that... what's his name? Gendry is actually because Cersei and Robert say how they initially had a black-haired son before Joffrey was born, and he was stillborn. So some people think that Gendry is the son of Cersei and Robert, but that Cersei hid him away and pretended he was just like a generic bastard of Robert because she couldn't bear to to kill her own blood, even though she wanted her and Jaime's children to sit on the Iron Throne. So I thought that was interesting. So I've determined it's impossible to play as the House of Aaron, because literally every single one of my vassals revolted, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but okay. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting theory. It's probably not true, but it's interesting. Okay, so that was a disaster. It's very luck based as to whether or not you're going to be able to do things in this game, because sometimes you win and you do really well, and sometimes it's a complete and total disaster and everything just implodes, like that game, which was a complete and total disaster and everything imploded. Let me see here. Let me see. What are some other scenarios? There's a Feast for Crows. I can try to play as Daenerys Targaryen. I'd like it if they put a show scenario in. Like they put in a season 6 or 7 scenario where Cersei declares herself queen, which makes absolutely zero sense, but I guess they just decided to do that for some reason. Let's see here. Who can I play? I could try Feast for Crows as Cersei Lannister. Play as Rhaegar in 77. In Robert's Rebellion. Okay. I will try playing as Rhaegar. Play as Aegon the Conqueror and take over Essos. Okay, sure. If people want to see that, I'll play that. So that would be the Bleeding Years scenario if you want to play as Aegon. So here's the big question. Will Book 6 come out before Martin dies? I don't know. I doubt it at this point in time. I really have my doubts that it'll come out before Martin dies. I've kind of given up all hope that we'll ever see another book in the series. I don't know if George R. Martin has just decided he's not going to release them anymore. I don't know if he's just going to release preview chapter after preview chapter from now until the end of time, and hopefully we'll get the entirety of the book. I don't know if we're going to have what happened with what was it again? What was that book with A Dance for Dragons, where they're going to split it into 2 books and it's going to be complete shit and it's not going to advance the plot. Because who knows? The way George R. R. Martin writes, he might be like, okay, guys, we're going to have a... Okay, let's see here. We're going to have the Vision of Spring. We're going to have the Winds of Winter. And then we're going to have some other bullshit like the Depth of Winter. A snowfall for a snow of owls, a pack of dire wolves, something like that. Let's see here. Found a new kingdom, legitimize Varys Baratheon. So I'm just going to wait a minute because I think an event should fire soon where I can head east. Just going to wait a minute. The summer breezes, thank you. Yes, they could do that. I mean, it's winter now. Although winter never seems to come. The White Walker's never doing anything. Could be... Aegon should have the quick trade. It irritates me that he doesn't. Honestly, Visenya should probably get the strong trait too. I think Visenya should also get the attractive trait. I know she was kind of weird looking. I actually find her artwork more better looking than... Let's see here. Can I join... Offer to join war? Offer to join... Honoro Triarch for life. So I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, because normally there's an event that fires. Or maybe I'm supposed to play Aegon's Conquest. Let me just try running it as Aegon's Conquest and see if that makes the event fire. Because normally the event fires and then you play as the Empire of New Valyria. And you get like a custom title and stuff, but... See here, Oscar Feinstein says, the thing that gets me about Game of Thrones is how every character is an edgy anti-theist. Yeah, it's not like that in the books. Like, we have a lot of characters that are pretty religious. Like, Sansa is pretty religious, Catelyn is very religious, Davos is religious, Brienne is fairly religious. Mainly, like, the only people who I think are active, like, positive atheists are Tyrion and Jaime. I don't think there are that many. Let's see here. One of the spin-off BS be the generation prior depicting Robert's Rebellion. We can hope. I mean, that would be cool. I agree that would be cool. Actually, this will probably get me a copyright strike. But I just wanted to play something from the books, which I just think is like the most badass thing ever. It was actually my favorite single scene in the audiobook. Because I listen to audiobooks because I don't have the agency to read anymore. So let me see here. So this is the Tower of Joy scene in the books. And it's like the most badass thing. It's so much better than that shit they had in the show.
He dreamt an old dream of 3 knights in white cloaks and a tower long fallen, and Lyanna in a bed of blood. In the dream, his friends rode with him, as they had in life. Proud Martin Cassell, Jory's father, faithful Theo Wall, Ethan Glover, who had been Brandon's squire, Sir Mark Risewell, soft of speech and gentle of heart, the Crannog man, Howland Reed.
I love Howland Reed.
Dustin on his great red stallion. Ned had known their faces as well as he knew his own once, but the years leach at a man's memories, even those he has vowed never to forget. In the dream, they were only shadows, grey wraiths on...
Normally happens once you've declared a whole bunch of wars. It doesn't really matter, though, because I have dragons. And when it comes down to it, that's all that matters. You can form... Okay, you can form the Empire of New Valyria. Good. Let me see here. I just need Aegon to lead this so he can use his dragon. That is Thoros' homeland. Yeah, that is Mir, one of the free cities. Okay, so I'm just bringing up my main army. It doesn't really matter how big my army is because I have dragons, and dragons just blow everything away. Yeah, for those of you who aren't aware, before last names existed, they would say where they'd have where they were from as kind of a surname. So it's like Thoros of Mir to differentiate him from other Thoroses, I guess. Or like it would be something the blacksmith or whatever. And once fixed last names came about, that's why they took whatever their profession was. Let's see here. So we're going to say Dracarys. And we're going to continue our conquest. Because there's very little anyone can do against dragons. How Jorah got Jorah the Andal? Okay, that's a good question. It's a bit like... I think what it's a reference to is back when the Crusaders used to go to the Middle East, the Muslims would refer to anyone from Europe as being a Frank. So they just talk about the Franks. They'd say, "Oh, he's a Frank," and it didn't matter if they came from England. It doesn't matter if you came from Spain. It doesn't matter. Wait a minute. What the fuck? That's bullshit. Okay, I thought I was an empire because I have the imperial... Okay, I fucked that up. Yeah, so in Essos, so in the Crusader times, everybody was just referred to as a Frank. If you were from mainland Europe, you were a Frank. It's because they don't really differentiate. It's like how we refer to everybody from the Middle East as being an Arab, even though there's Levantines, there's Assyrians, there's all these different groups, and the differences matter to them, but they don't really matter to us per se. So just people from Essos call him that. Yeah, it's kind of like saying Jorah the White Man, I guess you could say, or something like that. Even though Jorah isn't an Andal, he's a first man, because people from the north are pretty much pure first men, whereas people from most of Westeros are mixed, with the most Andal part of Westeros being... let's see here. With the most Andal part of Essos being... of Westeros being the Vale. Anyways, let's see. I think that's probably got enough for one night. I have to go to bed eventually because I have to work. So, I hope you enjoyed that low energy stream, and we'll talk to you guys later.